Yeah. So we're going to go right ahead today again and take you right through the dailies. We've got Dr. Marcel Mbamalu, who is the publisher Prime Business Africa. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning. Thank you, Chamberlain.
Well, that's our new Telegraph. They've got a businessy kind of headline, so but not a good one for the country. We're not smiling on this one. Nigeria loses 706.72 billion naira claim against JP Morgan. It's a huge sum in no small terms. And then the writer here says, as UK court rules FG not defrauded in OPL 245 deal, absolves Adoke Etete of complicity. Ooh. How did you see this?
Well, rules of engagement. You know, the court has spoken, and once the court speaks, I think there still should be room for appeal. Government can go for an appeal, but I don't think it's a very good one for Nigeria at this moment. I think, like I said earlier, the rules of engagement actually is very clear. The transfer or the sale of the OML, I think OML 10 or to
OPL 245.
Yeah, okay, and the sale, according to the court, actually followed due process and the transfer of ownership transparent enough. So I think it's not something we worry about. Maybe we'll appeal and see how it goes.
Wow, because it's almost the second, another judgment going against the country, but you know, but anyway, it shouldn't matter whichever government is in place. So as long as it's a case concerning Nigeria,
it's government. Government is a continuum, and it's Nigeria. As a matter of fact, it's Nigeria. It's against all of us. So we all lost, not just the president.
Well, I'm sure there'll be other dailies and more focus on this one as we progress. But some other headlines here. If I could just go above that lead story, because it's an economic matter, equally important. World Bank, economic hardship to push additional 1 million Nigerians into poverty by 2022. Fuel subsidy to gulp 5 trillion naira. And if you check, this is 2022, isn't it? So what? Additional 1 million Nigerians. I know the president, made that promise just the amount of people he wants to bring out of poverty. And now it looks as if it's going
2015 or 2019. Oh,
he said it. It's not 2019.
It's 2019.
2019.
And then 100 million people out of poverty.
It's been a recurring.
It's supposed to be a continuum, that target. But now, World Bank is giving us some indices in terms of the figures. They're saying, look, this economic hardship is pushing additional 1 million Nigerians into poverty by 2020.
By 2020?
2022, sorry.
By 2022. Yes, of course. What do you expect, Chamberlain? I think, looking at all the odds against not just Nigeria, but Africa, even the COVID-19, we weren't prepared. When the economy was not actually doing as good as it ought to, even before the COVID came, and the COVID came and wasn't the whole situation, in the sense that, of course, some businesses are doing well because of COVID, like tech, but generally speaking, productivity actually dropped so much because of COVID and because of, I sound like I'm speaking for government now, because government will always tell you it's COVID. They always blame COVID for everything. But I think we are not.
But before COVID,
look at,
we were in dire straits.
Yeah, of course, we were already
the economy
in dire
was in recession. I think we've been in recession in this admin for about 3 times.
Yes,
that's the largest any government has experienced recession.
Yeah, we really need to have a state of emergency on economy in this country, because a lot of things have to be done. And as I always said, if we need to have a break, we have to look at our SMEs, look at how we can revitalize SMEs, and because that's the only way you can create jobs and tackle poverty.
And to make this a lot more challenging, election year around the corner.
Yep.
And I remember Dr. Aganga.
And we are spending heavy.
Aganga said at that time that, look, when it comes to, he was Minister of Planning during Jonathan's time, he says, look, once it comes to election period, there's usually that lull in government. You don't focus on so many things, and so activities dwindle. And so now, enforcement of some of these policies, probably this Might just be a lot more than 1 million Nigerians.
Yeah, we started much earlier than we should have in terms of politicking, actually, because I think this started even last year, you know, in terms of...
and we'll have a longer time.
Yes. So,
much more than we've ever had in recent times.
Yeah, but we had a long... I'm not talking about politicians, actually, took the stage much earlier than necessary. That's the point I'm making.
They did?
Okay. And, yes, they did, actually, and the governance stopped much earlier than it should have. You know, because expected that pre-election year you have this kind of lull, but the law started much earlier than expected. That's the point I was making, because a lot of issues, ding-dong, a lot of blame games, a lot of inactions, and with insecurity. So I think that's our own is complicated. Talking about Nigeria.
But can we say the same for the federal government? Because the president is not running for election or re-election in any case. So, I mean, he has time to focus.
His party is running.
That's not him.
His party is running, and you know, well, if you look at the terrain, the political terrain, you see that we are in a situation whereby even the body language would determine certain things. So even
body language
talking about, yes, of course. So the president, whether he's running or he's not running, it's a key factor in. It's not what has to do with his own party.
I'm talking about body language. You know, at the Democracy Day parade, the president signed the register without giving a speech. What does that body language say, if it says anything at all?
It says as much as you already know. Yeah. So that's it.
Well, speaking about politics, look at the bottom strip. 2023 Muslim tickets will be most insensitive Catholic bishops. Turns out this is going to be a thing. Who knows?
So I don't know why we're even discussing that. Doesn't that sound funny as you're reading it?
But it's a reality,
you know,
isn't it? So that's a stark reality, you know, facing us. And then you see, okay, well,
it's I think funny that in Nigeria of today we should be that insensitive, you know, talking about. I know religion, you know, but in other kind of other climes you might be talking about. Okay, it doesn't matter competence or not. But in Nigeria, and with what we have passed through in the last 3 to 4 years, especially, I don't want to say in the last 7 years, in the last 3 to 4 years specifically, you know, it's very, very imperative that we, you know, think about, in fact, we become religious, kind of sensitive to religion and ethnicity, actually.
Because we need to call these things out the way they are, because
of course,
if we don't, so we gloss over them and think that they are not important, but they are.
I don't think APC or PDP will, at this time, think about Christian ticket or Muslim ticket. I don't think
for
any
instance,
party will do that. I think they're flying the kites, yeah.
But the way we focus on religion here, sometimes you wonder, isn't it going against when we talk about developments? Because if you look at Saudi Arabia, Israel, look at those two countries that we focus on a lot more in terms of religion. Look at how development thrives in those climes. Why not here?
Yeah, it's like comparing apple and oranges, actually. We're talking about Israel.
Religion is religion.
Yeah, religion is religion, but they have more a kind of uniformity in a kind of... we are more, let me say, not divided. We are more...
So I'm saying, in spite of the religion that we also profess, why can't we be like that?
Yeah, I think when you get to Israel, for example, you have, I think about 80% of them practice... is it Judaism?
But it's also a very religiously diverse country.
Pardon?
It's also a very religiously diverse country, you know, Israel. And
yeah,
yet,
it is.
Yet it's very developed.
Yeah, are you talking about Israel and Palestine or whatever? In Israel, the minorities are so minor. The minority religion in Israel are so minor that they are manageable, you can manage. In Nigeria, you have two major religions. You have Christianity, you have Islam. And then you talk about those who are non-aligned people.
You have traditionalists.
Yeah, traditionalists.
Well, and they tell you they have
non-aligned.
So is there anything about the outlook?
They are not traditionalized, actually.
They are
traditionalists and
nationalists.
Who is the chief traditionalist of Nigeria, for example?
Is there any,
are you sure you want to know?
I want to know.
But is there anything about the attitude, you know, the outlook to religion in that country that Nigeria perhaps can learn from and adopt?
Israel, for example?
Yes.
Yes, of course. I think it's first and foremost is the elevation of the mind. You know, with education, I think we need to rev up our education system and do something. If an educated man is an empowered man, religion or no religion, our problem is illiteracy. Forget that. You say we're educated, but we are really not educated. So if we are really informed and our mind is so elevated, You know, I don't think we'll have problem with whether diversified or divergent or whatever. We still have to live together and work together as one country. Well, Israel is doing that because of elevation of the mind, education, mindset.
Incidentally, ASU has been on strike for 4 months and 1 day. So,
speaking of the mind.
Well, let's turn our attention to the Nigerian Tribune quickly. This is what you find there. Quite different, really, but this is a major one as well. Southwest governors raise questions over Owo attack. And there's a statement in quotes. You're the champion of Amotekun in the Southwest. We, your brothers, wonder if this is more personal because of the role you have played in ensuring that our zone is secure. One wonders if there's a particular reason this attack was launched in your hometown of Owo. So I imagine this statement is directed at the governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu. But it's important to get the proper context of this statement. But page 8, this statement speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's trying to extol, it's trying to blame.
Should I take it again just for...
Yeah, just please do.
Okay, so the statement says, you are the champion of the Amotekun in the Southwest.
Okay.
We, your brothers, wonder if this is more personal because of the role you have played in ensuring that our zone is secure. One wonders if there's a particular reason this attack was launched in your hometown of Owo.
Yeah, I think it's still that kind of conspiracy theory. I think people are looking at, I think schools of thought have actually looked at that. Okay, why is it because of the, even the APC National Convention was coming up, I think it was that a day before that thing happened. So a lot of people were actually thinking that perhaps it's politically motivated. You know, people have their opinion and could say what, but for me, I call it a terrorist attack. It's terrorism, and it's the same way churches were attacked. And I think there was one in Abuja, I think 2 years or 3 years ago, like that. It's the same.
So essentially, the authorities should go after the perpetrators, arrest them, and prosecute them regardless.
Exactly. And one thing I need to say about our security, the way our security apparatus, you know, deal with this kind of problem is that we don't have to expose our strategy before, because I listened even to the police chiefs talking, and they will tell you, we have done this, we do this movement at this time of the day, this and you know, and then you release the information you have. Police shouldn't be.
They do that?
But
yes, I watched a video about how the police was talking about the movements and how they are going to contain it and everything on television. So I think the best thing, you blow your strategy by the time you keep talking about what you do, because you want to prove that you are doing something about that. Solve the problem. When the problem is solved, you see that you've done something and you're doing something. You don't need to convince the public that you're doing something with security, because the people you're talking to could actually also be the perpetrators of the crime.
Okay,
so we don't know who has done this.
Sorry, Kadi, as much as this is bold, it also appears veiled. You know, like it's directed at something or someone. Could the Southwest governors have been more categorical about what they were trying to say?
They're actually trying to, I think this is, I don't want to align with that. I don't want to say yes to it, and I don't want to say no to it. Anything with security, anything is possible. It could be what the governors are saying. It could not be. It may not be.
Okay.
So that's the point.
Well, a couple of other stories on the front page. Because of time, by the way, Atiku's running mate, Wike, edges others. Quite interesting. A few hours ahead. And for the APC,
it's interesting to see how Wike is going to work with that.
To make Uzodinma APC governors meet Buhari, as well as other stories on the front page. Let's leave it there for the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, so from the Nigerian Tribune, let's flip the script to Vanguard newspapers, and it leads with politics. VP slot, PDP committee picks Wike. Tinubu will decide, says Imo governor. Now, how 13 of 17 PDP committee members chose Wike, that's the rider. More from the riders. Will name running mate in 48 hours. Ayu, attributed to Ayu. Tinubu, not APC governors will choose running mate. That's from Uzodinma, the Imo State governor. Muslim ticket bad for peace, unity. That's emanating from the Catholic Secretariat. Anyways, we're going to say something about how interesting Wike will work with Atiku. So go ahead. Yes,
of course, it's going to be interesting. And of course, Wike has shown to be very, very strong in terms of his campaign to becoming the candidate for the PDP. And he lost. And I didn't see him then working very well with Atiku. And I think it's a matter of expediency. They want to win the election at all costs. But whether that decision, Northeast, South-South ticket, is the game changer now, is a different kettle of fish. Let's see what is going to come out from, there are three, is a three-horse whatever now. You have the three-horse race. You have the Labour Party, you have the PDP, and you have the APC, P2B, Atiku, and then the running mates will actually be the deciding factor.
Yeah.
Yes, and so Wike, good choice because Wike is strong in the South-South. Wike is strong for an Atiku. Wike is strong, and I think it's good for them. It's good for them.
Yeah, let's see how much fruit this expediency will bear. Yeah. Let's take it now to Malpa in Abuja.
Well, thank you, Buki. Let's quickly look at what Daily Trust has on the front page, and they seem to be following in the same train of thought. Everyone is preoccupied with the VP position this morning. 2 days to INEC's deadline, Wike wins PDP Advisory Council poll as running mate. Tinubu will choose his VP, that's from Uzodimma, APC governor's mum after meeting Buhari. President takes decisions without cabal, that's from Garba Shehu. And we're not in alliance talks. That's from NNPP. So two of the stories I'd like to highlight, even you've already focused largely on the VP for the VP candidate for the PDP. That's a major headline. Wike wins PDP Advisory Council poll as running mate. But look at this. President takes decisions without cabal. That's from the president's aide. Why do you think it is expedient that they have to say this at this time? There's been a lot of talk in recent times, but it looks like something has certainly rubbed off the wrong way for us to be getting this response from Mr. Garba Shehu.
Well, a lot of things. I think it's interesting. It's been interesting hearing such responses because, of course, for me, whether it's right for the presidency to issue a statement to say, oh, we don't have a cabal or not, it's debatable. But for me, I don't think there is much need for that for now, because for me, it gives that impression that perhaps there's something you feel not comfortable about that's happening, especially given what has happened in APC when they were trying to pick their candidate. I'm talking about Tinubu's emergence. A lot of things happened before finally what appeared the democratic process took place and he emerged. So I wouldn't blame the presidency so much for issuing that because there has been a lot of a cloudy situation surrounding the political party which the president represents in terms of how they run up to their selection of candidates. And so to that extent, that is explainable. That's okay. And then with other things happening in the economy and all of this, to whom much is given, much is expected. We will expect more explanations in other spheres, more serious areas of governance for now, like the areas of security, like the areas of the economy and those. I think that's where, taking the president is not expected. In fact, the president is actually expected to take, what type of cabal you're talking about, take decision with cabal, actually, if you look at it from, because he has a cabal of ministers, he has a cabal of whatever. So it depends on which type of cabal, actually, if you look at it. That's why I say it depends on how you want to look at the statement released by federal government, by the presidency. So
well, it does seem that they were not particularly pleased. They were not particularly pleased with a lot of the opinion that came off the back of the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the APC presidential candidate of the party. But I want you to also respond to this particular rider were not in alliance talks.
Yes.
That's from NNPP. There had been some talk that perhaps they will be in some, maybe some alliance with the Labour Party or maybe some other party. It was not clear, but it looks like there is some clarity now from the NNPP saying that nothing of the sort is going on.
Yeah, actually I was about to come into that because, but you know, with politicians, anything is possible. Something may come up in the next 20 minutes or even or 10 minutes. So you never, before the APC convention, you never knew how it was going to play out until Tinubu emerged suddenly, before you heard that Senate President was announced, this and that, until finally they knew where they were going. So I think specifically the Labour Party with its candidate, Peter Obi, there's been talk about him trying, and people were looking at it as a very good arrangement, and Obi and Kwakwanso. That was just the calculation people were making all over the social media and all of those. So it's right. And what do you expect? There should be a statement, official statement, actually. Whether that's, what I'm saying is that a statement by the NNPP does not actually dismiss the fact that it could happen. Yeah, with politicians, anything could happen. What is important is the interest and how to win the election, and that's what they're looking at. So, but if it happens, I think that would be a very good, formidable arrangement to have a three. Nigerians would like to have very strong contenders for this position in 2023 and take the right decision on who will govern them, because the stakes are high and a lot of things have happened, and they need whether to continue with change or to change the change or to look elsewhere. I think is okay. So, but that statement is a statement, and it remains there until the deadline for submission of VP names to INEC. I think it's tomorrow, tomorrow?
The 17th of June?
Yeah.
I believe, yes. 17th of
Yeah, it's a Friday, day after tomorrow. So until day after tomorrow, anything
can happen.
Possible, and it's interesting. I'm enjoying watching it.
All right, then. We'll take a look at Daily Times next. Oh.
Papers.
Okay, I kind of missed that though. All right, the Daily Times says APC presidential primary, Buhari's decisions not influenced by cabal ascribed to the presidency. And so they shed a lot more light on that one, saying president's decision to allow open contest at the event shows he's far from an autocratic leader. But look beneath that story. MRA, Media Rights Agenda, I reckon, rejects FG's attempts to regulate social media through the back door. That's the way they think it is, through the back door. Is that the way you see it?
Well, that has always been
that directive.
We've been on that terrain for a long time, back and forth.
To be or not to be?
Yeah, to be or not to be. But I can tell you autocratically it's not going to happen, and it can't happen, And
but they need that directive stance.
Yeah, yes. The point I'm making is that social media, the problem we have. That's why sometimes the resistance to government is weak, because the social media itself has its own challenges.
So what exactly do you say will not happen? Regulating social media or what?
Regulating social media.
Yeah.
The social media should be regulated, but it can't be regulated in the manner the government wants to do.
Have you seen that statement from NITA?
I haven't really read. I haven't gone through through that. But if you could throw light on that.
Essentially, it says they had a meeting, or at least they agreed with other social media platforms, and then the conditions to really operate include establishing a legal entity, registering with CAC, appointing a designated country representative, abiding by all regulatory demands after establishing a legal presence. The interesting part is provide information to authorities on harmful accounts, suspected botnets, troll groups, and other coordinated disinformation networks, and deleting any information that violates Nigerian law within an agreed time.
For me, that's wrong. Do you accept it? Do you think it's...
But this was part of the condition preceding the allowing them to continue operating in Nigeria.
Well,
so if they accepted it, it means they are good to go, those media companies.
But I don't think they should. I don't think they will. If they have,
they already did. That's why the government lifted the ban.
Then we are in trouble.
What kind of trouble?
We're in trouble. The kind of trouble you can imagine. And
but isn't this long line of regulation, you know, required for information management and for some form of sanity in the social media space?
No. Social media, that's not the kind of what happens in other climes. You know, how is social media managed? You know, that why do we learn? We only take the negative. We don't learn the positive things that we should learn from other climes. You know, you can't. It's just like asking people not to. It's freedom of speech. Yeah. But social media is freedom of speech.
So don't touch our Twitter, don't touch our Facebook. Just
at all.
Let us have the town hall.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Wait. What do you mean you don't think so? They shouldn't regulate or they shouldn't stifle?
They shouldn't stifle. Regulation is there's self-regulation.
So you see this as stifling?
Regulation is already there. It's embedded. You know, there's no company that exists in any clime or come to any country that doesn't follow due process. For example, of course, if you're going to register a company, if you have an existing company abroad in the US and you want to have a subsidiary in Nigeria, you go through the CSC, you do the normal things that you are supposed to do and all of those. So the government knows you, the regulators know you, and they know you're operating. So, and then there are other ways, but saying the content, managing content, you know, what you read there, there is clear attempt to actually manage to control content, social media content, and that's not going to happen. Even if it passes through, how is government? Does government have the capacity to even manage it, to regulate it? It cannot. So that's why I say it can't happen. It can happen legally, legitimately. They're able to do that, get the law passed. How many laws has this government or has all our governments passed that been able to follow through and actually whatever? So it's not going to. Social media is so vast, it's so big, it's so self-independent, it's so good, it's so I don't know what to call it. That government, an African government cannot.
Well, we're not in isolation. We've seen even Western countries also clamp down on these social media platforms, calling them to account, or tasking them further, saying they have dropped their guard. We see that with questions about racism. We see that with several perspectives, how they want to hold those platforms a lot more to the rules. But it's going to be an unending argument, I tell you, whichever way you look at it. But I guess media scholars or institutions may have a thing or two about this. Hey guys, go do a town hall and get to hear people's perspective about social media. Don't forget, it's important. Your students need to do something about this. Dr. Marcel will be available. I speak on his behalf. Thank you for coming on this morning, Dr. Marcel Mbamalu, publisher of Prime Business Africa. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.